I am spiritual, but also non-denominational. What I practice is closer to the face value of the word Gnosis or a Noetic, a person who seeks truth and knowledge through experience and thinking. I'm always careful of using that particular word because I'm not a Christian Gnostic nor part of any organized group or religion. Because I grew up across different continents and cultures with different religious traditions, I've always agreed with a piece of this or part of that. But going into a house of worship, it always feels nice at first, like listening to a nice song and you're really enjoying the song, but someone was always singing slightly off key. Does this analogy make sense? I hope so. And if you resonate with this topic, please do me a favor and hit that like button and stick around by subscribing or sharing it with your friends, as that really helps with the algorithm. Thank you. I'm Liz, the host of Athena's Garden. Welcome to my channel, where I discuss topics relating to the intersectionality of spirituality, creativity, and science. In this video, I'm discussing the joys of having all the information available at our fingertips and how I decide what to believe, what to follow, and what to practice and why, while keeping the topic relevant to what's happening right now when the video is reported and released. As the title states, I am syncretizing a complex topic by touching on events happening this season. It has come to my attention that there are various videos and social media posts calling out the Lionsgate portal as a new age invention, a fake and made up event, and that it actually doesn't align with Sirius, Orion's belt, the Earth, and the Sun. So actually, I've been wondering about this myself because I thought the Lionsgate was a Sirius alignment thing. So whenever I saw Orion's belt in the Mengs, I was like, what am I reading? Let me look into this. What I extrapolated from these various sources is that it seems like the differences in the actual dates of alignment are related to three main things. Number one, the precession of the equinox. Number two, the inaccuracies caused by our current calendar, the Gregorian calendar, and the misalignment between this and other older calendar systems. And three, diversity in spiritual traditions. I am no astrologer or astronomer, and I'll be completely honest that sometimes my ADHD just shutdowns in boredom, where there's like detailed math and science involved with charts and graphs and math equations. Don't tell anyone, don't judge me. I hope I'm not the only one. But in some, Greek astronomer Hipparchus noticed that the stars were not in the same position from where they were previously charted in Babylonian times, and he concluded that it was not the stars that were moving, but rather Earth does this cyclic wobbling as the Earth axis rotates. It is caused by the gravitational influence of the sun and the moon on the equator. So it is actually not a very obvious or perceivable rotation because each rotation cycle takes approximately 25,772 years for one complete cycle. I first learned this because it's relating to our North Star used to be Vega in the Lyran constellation. That's where my soul originates. By the way, can you tell I'm Lyran? And now our North Star is Polaris. It will become Vega again in about 12,000 years or so. I first learned about this via Graham Hancock when he was talking about lining up with Leo and why the Sphinx probably was a lion. And later, Robert Edward Grant also discussed the mathematics in his talks. The point is, it was an alignment in the past during the age of Leo. As we are now at the end of the age of Pisces, going towards the age of Aquarius, what was in alignment at the time the periods were built is no longer in alignment today. And to me, this clearly applies to the Lion's Gate. My second point is related to the Gregorian calendar. I've linked a very interesting podcast about our calendar on 99% Invisible and how we decided on this one. It's really worth a listen after you finish my video, of course. I have a perfect example of this. There is a major Chinese cultural holiday or celebration, if you will, called QiXi. And it's observed on the July 7th of the lunar calendar. This means each year it's on a different date in the Gregorian calendar. It is known as Chinese Valentine's Day, and I won't go into the whole legend, but it's basically the story of Romeo and Juliet, but literal star-crossed lovers, separated by the river, which is actually the Milky Way. And only on July 7th, these star-crossed lovers can reunite with each other when the stars Altair in the Aquilus constellation and Vega in the Lyra constellation will align, and they can look at each other and gaze at each other longingly. This holiday was very popular and spread across Asia over the centuries, and when I moved here to Japan 2 years ago, I learned that in Japan, they also celebrate QiXi or Tanabata, also known as the Festival of the Stars, Hoshi Matsuri, but on July 7th of the Gregorian calendar, and my reaction was like, what? You mean they celebrate it on a date where Altair and Vega are not even in alignment in the sky? How does that make sense when you think about the origins of this holiday? So maybe Japan wanted to adapt a Chinese holiday, but remove the roots of the holiday to make it their own, or it's just way more convenient to have it on July 7th of the Gregorian calendar. Probably both. But the thing is, the stars aren't even there, so I can totally relate to the astrologers who are calling out like, Lion's Gate portal? What portal? Which stars are aligning with what? They're not aligning. What are you talking about? So this is a fake holiday, right? So, which brings me to all the calendars that we have used in the past before the standardized one in 1582. Vedic, Sumerian, Babylonian, Mayans, Egyptians, Greek, Chinese lunar calendar as mentioned, pagan and Norse calendars. When you convert those dates into the Gregorian ones, it's not going to be standardized because of these discrepancies. So these calendars existed and made sense to the culture who used it and applied it. For example, if your livelihood depends on the seasons like farming and fishing, or if you're just a person who's sensitive to energy shifts that are caused by the moon and other planetary positionings, like Mercury in retrograde as an example, or if you are an alchemist, a scientist, a magician, or practice any spiritual or religious traditions which might require you to obtain items from specific seasons, practice on specific stars and planetary alignments for it to work. Because of mercantilism then and globalization now, a standard calendar system was needed or is needed. But look, if the moon's proximity to Earth can affect the tide and the ecosystem in the water, surely it could affect us in some way since we are, 70% made of water? Following this thread, if you can see perhaps wherever or whenever the Lion's Gate concept had originated from, it is most likely that no, it's no longer in alignment to a date by the Gregorian calendar of August 8th or 8/8. So outside of the numerological significance and the reference to the Leo constellation, I can see what the astrologists say, that it seems kind of random, and I agree. But it doesn't take away the cultural significance or the archetype or symbolism that it has on our collective consciousness, which brings me to my next point. My third point is regarding diversity in spiritual practices and spiritual traditions. Nothing exists in a vacuum. Christianity adopted and incorporated many traditions from pagans and Judaism. And when Buddhism made it to Japan, they incorporated the local Shintoism and created a separate branch of Buddhism. So what makes the Lion's Gate any different? My perspective is that once it made its way to the internet and the social and collective consciousness, we as a collective have decided and assigned meaning to the state and opened this portal. Therefore, we created it and it coexists with us. Our reality is our agreed upon reality. If I was good at finding those meme clips, this is where I insert Neo trying to bend the spoon in the original Matrix movie.
Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon?
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends, it is only yourself.
So French sociologist Emile Durkheim coined the term collective effervescence when he studied community in groups. When society or community comes together and simultaneously share the same thoughts and participate in the same action, collective effervescence is created. And he chose the word effervescence. It means that fizzy excitement bubbling up to the surface like a carbonated drink. It also means vivacious and lively, and that's what he used to describe this phenomenon. Collective effervescence is used to unify a group and bond us together. Durkheim's whole thing was about what bonds a group together. What is the glue that holds us together as a society? So there's a functional element to any event that creates collective effervescence. So in the hunter and gatherer society, it was that coming around in a circle by the fire, and we're doing this activity together. In 2024, it's the Olympics that just finished. It's Taylor Swift concerts. It's the elections. It's the announcement of the latest iPhone. So apparently also the Lionsgate portal. And what I'm trying to say is, if we as a collective agree that August 8th is a special day, great for manifestation, promoting unity consciousness, honoring the Sirius star system, so what if it's created by a group of people? Because hello, so is everything else in the world. One person or a group of people got together, imagined it from their thoughts, and made plans to execute it, and then brought it into our reality. I compare my experience with the Lionsgate to the Ghost Month, which is Lunar July in the Chinese Lunar Calendar. I've never felt good this time of the year. This year, in 2024, Lunar July begins on August 4th and ends in September 2nd. So that QiXi, Chinese Valentine Day I was telling you about, it happens on August 10th this year, a whole month after when Japan celebrates it. So just FYI. If by chance, perhaps the original Lionsgate Day is supposed to be August 8th of the lunar calendar, then it would have happened on August 11th this year. But I digress. Growing up, I would feel a great deal of anxiety, sleeplessness in the summertime leading up to when school starts. And before moving back to Taiwan in high school, I thought surely it's because I'm anxious about going back to school or starting a new school in a new country since I moved a lot. Or I can't sleep because it's summer, it's hot, and the sun rises earlier. Or I'm nauseous and tired because of heat exhaustion. But why can't I sleep at night? I don't have any stress as a 14-year-old and I have air conditioning. So I thought maybe I had insomnia or anxiety. That's what, the doctors might say if I had gone to a doctor then, or what, logic will tell you, right? So is it at all related to the ghost month? Which in Buddha and Daoist and in Taiwanese cultural and the folklore practices, Lunar July is the month when the gates of hell open and the ghosts are allowed to come to Earth and visit their families, or if their family is long gone, they get to go on vacation. So not only are ghosts on vacation, the gods, angels, and ascended masters, they also go on vacation too. I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. If the gods created us in their image, then if we need vacation, so do they, right? In Taiwan during this time, we are advised to avoid major decisions like surgeries, signing contracts, getting married, moving to a new place, going out late at night, going to the mountains and oceans because an angry spirit may want to trade places with you and take your life. But also, if something happens to you, like you get into a little fender bender, the gods and angels are on vacation, so they can't help you either. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, or this lunar July gates of hell opening, the idea is to be respectful of spirits and those who had passed on, and to have compassion. So both Buddhism and Taoism, the temples, they would perform rites and rituals to assist these souls and honor those who have passed. So growing up, I've always had a respectful attitude towards ghosts and spirits. I can't see them. I can't necessarily feel them other than what I describe, my, symptoms. I was only reasonably afraid of them thanks to horror movies and ghost stories. It wasn't until I was 18 or 19 when I had my session with Master Huang, which I've previously talked about, where she told me that I'm a psychic and I have certain licenses as a psychic. So think of this as light workers who are assigned to work in specific areas. So these are licenses. And that's why people like us might have more disturbances during this time of the year. And she said that while I can't see them, they can certainly see me. And they might be able to see my licenses and might want to knock on my door. So think of that license as like a hospital sign. If you're injured and you have an injury and you drive by a hospital sign, you might reasonably stop and go in and ask for help to treat your wound. So I'm like, oh, that's what it is. I'll be turning 38 next month. And so this means I've had 20 years to observe whether this is true for me or not as a Gnostic seeker of truth. And consistently, I do not sleep as well this month. I do get more nauseous, I'm exhausted, sometimes anxious, but it's not always my anxiety, if that makes sense. I can tell by now. I've had 20 years to observe that this is just not related to me sometimes. It's just the energy and the reaction I get. I also heard a talk from a Taoist master about 15 to 18 years ago who mostly talks about Feng Shui, and he explained that in one lunar calendar year, January to June is Yang energy and July to December is Yin energy. And about a couple days before Lunar July, it's that huge transitional month, and there is a huge energy shift, and it kind of starts a couple days before the first day of Lunar July. So that's lunar July 1st is when the gates of hell open, so to speak, and it's a very abrupt energy shift. So in 2024, that would have been the end of July, beginning of August. So if you have felt it, that's maybe when it started, and it just so happens to coincide with the Lionsgate portal this month. So do I feel that there is an actual gate opening portal? Absolutely. I see this gate and portal as a figure 8, so it connects to your highest timeline as well as your deepest shadow. So I'll be discussing more of this in my reel or Instagram or video, but for me personally, as soon as Lunar July ends, so when it's August 1st of the lunar calendar, I sleep just fine, and it's still incredibly hot in Tokyo in September, so I know that my sleep disturbances is not just because of the weather or the sun. So I do want to share that maybe for some people like me, there is an extreme energy shift for that's felt this month, and traditionally we are encouraged to stay indoors, but as for myself, I'm a person with a lot of yang energy, and so a sudden shift to the yin energy, it's like dipping me and submerging me in ice water, and like it's like a very sudden and uncomfortable thing. So in the past 20 years since I was made aware of this, I try to take it very easy this month, especially with sleep disturbances, not to do anything major and really take this time to self-reflect, which is why maybe 8 years ago when I first learned about the Lionsgate portal via my friend Melissa, I thought, why not? I like the archetype of Leo and the lion. I like the Syrian connection with the Sirius star system. I like that it coincides with the time where I need to charge up and keep up my yang energy to stay balanced. And the lion is the perfect energy to tune into for me. In Taiwan, of course, there is a large population that don't believe in the ghost month, don't practice any rituals, don't do anything special and just live their everyday lives, even though this is pretty ingrained in our culture and folklore. And that's totally fine. It doesn't affect them, it doesn't bother them, they don't notice anything. And that's called sovereignty. In this day and age, we can read up on what may resonate with us, leave out the things that really don't, and just decide for ourselves. I am sharing all of this information. I know I connected a few things because I want to show that a lot of thinking, listening, reading, and experiencing goes into why I personally choose to celebrate or practice one tradition over another. I do my research, I observe something over time, and I will reevaluate and meditate on it as well. Does this still serve me right now? One last comparison I will give you is something like outside of the spiritual world, called Thanksgiving. When I first moved to the US, I was like, how can we even celebrate Thanksgiving, this fake holiday that we made up, reenacting a peaceful dinner between the Pilgrims and Native Americans breaking bread? Like, that's not what happened. I thought there was a huge genocide of Native Americans, and the thought of this holiday really made my stomach turn inside and out. Like, how is an event tied to genocide transform into getting together with family to express gratitude? You know, it took me over 10 years to be like, you know what, it's a time off, national holiday time off. I'll take that time to focus on my friends and family if we do meet up, since it's a holiday, and if we do share a meal, to really appreciate their presence and have gratitude for having them in my life. And that's how I'm able to celebrate it, by completely disassociating the history, while still honoring what happened and, you know, acknowledging what happened. But if I were to I'm not going to celebrate that. I'm going to find something that's in alignment to my highest timeline and my highest purpose. And that's how I'm able to stay true to myself, my heart, and my values. As to whether or not there is a portal, with the wisdom of my counsel, I think there is a portal. It just doesn't look like the same one when perhaps the Lion's Gate was originally conceived. And I use originally in quotes because how will we know when and if that was true, right? Like, how do we verify that? And time is relative anyways. Is a tradition only valuable if it's older than 100 years, 30 years, 1,000 years? Who decided that? Who gets to decide that? Like, even like the Bible being barely 2,000 years old, isn't that actually New Age? Because we have much older texts, you know, and also if you compare that with the Akashic records, that is timeless and infinite. So, you know, maybe time and origins may not have as much significance to truth if you zoom all the way out and look at it from a bird's eye view. So in conclusion, we discussed a lot of things, but mostly we talked a little bit about astronomy and astrology, the fake and created holidays, the diversity of spiritual traditions, and collective effervescence from French sociologist Emile Durkheim, the Lunar July month or ghost month, and how it influenced my decision to observe Lion's Gate, and how I believe anyone should and can decide for themselves whether a big event or holiday or spiritual portal is in alignment with their highest timeline. If you also agree with this, have thoughts, a reaction, a comment to this topic, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you for watching.